Okay. Can you still hear me? Testing 1 2 3. Is it pretty clear? Testing 1 2 3. Can you hear? Everybody can hear? Hello? Can you hear me? Okay. All right. So we have been studying Deuteronomy, and we had looked at the last study we had was chapter 29 of the book of Deuteronomy, and we 29 the covenant that the Most High said. He said that he said, in fact, it says here, Deuteronomy 29, 12 and 13, it says that thou shouldest enter into covenant with Yahweh thy Elohim, and into his oath which Yahweh thy Elohim maketh with thee this day, that he may establish thee today for a people unto himself, that he may be unto thee a God or Elohim, as he hath said unto thee, and as he hath sworn unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. So through the covenant establishes the people to be the Most High's people through the covenant relationship. Now, just as an aside, not really an aside, but the covenant was broken, and the Messiah paid the penalty of the broken covenant. And that's why he said, when he had that communion with his disciples the night he was betrayed, he said, when he had the wine, he said, this is the cup of the new covenant, or the renewed covenant. So he's renewing the covenant again with his people through his death. And so he establishes them a people unto himself through the Messiah now. So through the Messiah, we establish the renewed covenant with our Father. And the establishment of the covenant makes us his people. Everybody understand that? Testing 1 2 3. So the establishment of the covenant makes us his people. Okay. So we are established as his people through a covenant relationship with him. Initially, he established the covenant with our fathers, and then we broke the covenant. They broke the covenant, and through the Messiah, he established a renewed covenant with his own blood, with the people, to make us again in a covenant relation with the Father and make us his people. So the covenant establishes that. We also saw when we studied Deuteronomy 29 that when people come among the Hebrews, among the Israelites, to teach them to turn away from the covenant, to teach them falsehoods, that the Bible likens this to gall and wormwood, bitterness. When we're turned away from the truth, it becomes bitterness. And we looked at Revelation because there's a prophecy in the book of Revelation concerning, I believe it's the third trumpet of Revelation chapter 9. I'm sorry, Revelation chapter 8, the third of the 7 trumpets. Talks about gall and wormwood, talks about wormwood. And that's, again, the turning away of the truth by falsehoods, by false doctrines. And brothers and sisters, as we have talked about before, and we'll say it many times, our protection against false doctrines is the Bible. Our protection is the Bible. The Spirit will guide us through the Word to keep us from all the deceptions and wiles of the enemy. And there are many. There's so much deception out here. It's unbelievable. The deception, the level of deception is so high, and it's going to get higher before the Most High sends his Son to return to the earth. It's going to get more. So we have to be protected from the deceptions by staying in his word. Okay. Welcome, brother. Welcome, brother Brian. The word is a protection, and the centerpiece of the word is the covenant, commonly known as the 10 Commandments. But that covenant is the centerpiece because that covenant must be obeyed. Now, because of sin, we are weak. The Bible says we are weak through the flesh. The law is weak through the flesh because we are weak. We can't, because of sin, we fall. We can't keep the covenant. And that's where Messiah comes in. He paid the penalty for our sin. And through him, we get perfect righteousness from the Father as a gift. And through the spirit of perfect righteousness and obedience, which he gives us as a gift called grace, we are saved and we are perfected and we are obedient to the covenant. Obedient to the covenant. Praise the Most High. So now, Deuteronomy 28 gave us a detailed description of the blessings and the curses that were to come upon the children of Israel. Now, this was conditional. They would receive the blessings if they were obedient to the covenant. They would receive the curses if they broke the covenant. And it was a warning, but it was also a prophecy telling them what was going to happen. And again, this was also in other parts of the book of Deuteronomy, where Moses, through the Most High, through Moses, was telling them, you're going to disobey me, and I'm going to have to do these things to you. Okay. In fact, it was Deuteronomy chapter 4 that showed them that what was going to happen in the future. Deuteronomy chapter 4, I'm reading from verse 23, down to verse 31. Notice what it says. Take heed unto yourselves, Moses is telling them, lest ye forget the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim, which he made with you, and make you a graven image or the likeness of anything which Yahweh thy Elohim hath forbidden thee. For Yahweh thy Elohim is a consuming fire, even a jealous Elohim. When thou shalt beget children and children's children, and ye shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves, and make a graven image or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of Yahweh thy Elohim to provoke him to anger, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto ye go over Jordan to possess it. And ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And Yahweh shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither Yahweh shall lead you. And there ye shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But if from thence thou shalt seek Yahweh thy Elohim, thou shalt find him, if thou seek him with all thy heart, with all thy soul. When thou art in tribulation and all these things that come upon thee, even in the latter days, notice he's prophesying. If thou turn to Yahweh thy Elohim and shalt be obedient to his voice, for Yahweh thy Elohim is a merciful Elohim. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers which he sware unto them. See? So brothers and sisters, even back in chapter 4, he was telling them what was going to happen. So here in chapter 30, he kind of puts it all together, and it's powerful. It's powerful. It's the return of the Hebrews. Deuteronomy, or these be the words of Dabharym, chapter 30, which is where we are today. So let's look. Deuteronomy chapter 30, going to begin at verse 1. I'm going to read from verse 1, and I'm going to read down to verse 3. Verse 1 to 3. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither Yahweh thy Elohim have driven thee, and shalt return unto Yahweh thy Elohim, and shalt obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that then Yahweh thy Elohim will turn thy captivity, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither Yahweh thy Elohim have scattered thee. This prophecy is not only in Deuteronomy, it's in Jeremiah, it's in Ezekiel, it's in Isaiah, it's all over the Bible. So let's just look in a couple places. I mentioned Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Jeremiah. So let's look in those 3 books and let's find this prophecy, because it's in all those places. So he said, when they repent of their sin, he will, from wherever they're scattered on the earth, he's going to find them, okay? And he's going to have compassion on them, and he's going to gather them. He's going to gather his people together. So let's look first in Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 11. Isaiah chapter 11. Let's go from verse 11 down to verse, from verse 11 down to verse 14. Notice what it says. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. So he's saying again, he's going to gather the second time. Now, let me ask you all a question. He said this is the second time he's recovering the remnant of his people which shall be left. Question: when was the first time? When was the first time he recovered the remnant of his people which shall be left? When did he do it the first time? Y'all know? When was the first time? He said this is the second time he's bringing them back. That's right. When they were in Egypt, that was the first time. They went down to Egypt, and he recovered them from Egypt. This second time, he's going to bring them again. But this time, instead of just bringing them out of Egypt, he's going to bring them from the four corners of the earth where they were scattered. He's going to bring them from the four corners of the earth. Okay? Let's look again in Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. Here's another one in Isaiah. There's more in Isaiah. We're just touching on a couple of them. Isaiah chapter 14 verse 1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. See? So again, he's going to recover his people. Let's go. We said Isaiah. We said Jeremiah also. So let's look at Jeremiah, because it says it in Jeremiah also. Jeremiah chapter 30. Jeremiah chapter 30. I'm going to read Jeremiah chapter 30 from verse 1 down to verse 11. Jeremiah chapter 30 from verse 1 down to verse 11. It says it in several places also in Jeremiah, but we're just using this one here. And let's go from verse 1. And the word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, Thus saith Yahweh Elohim of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith Yahweh, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. And these are the words that Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him, but they shall serve Yahweh their Elohim, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with thee, saith Yahweh, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. There you go. There it is again. Okay. Let's go back one chapter. Chapter 29. Chapter 29. Chapter 29. Let's see. This is deep. Chapter 29 is deep because it's concerning Babylon. Now, we know that when the Bible talks about Babylon, there are two Babylons. There is the ancient Babylon. Actually, there's three, but there's the ancient Babylon with Nimrod. There's the Babylon with Nebuchadnezzar, who was the king, and there's the last day Babylon, which is led by Rome. It's the world system led by Rome, okay? Well, he's going to gather them. He says he's going to gather them into their own land being the nation, the land of Israel, being the original land that he gave them, sister Lane. That's where he's going to gather them to. He says, I'm going to bring them into their own land, the land that I gave to their fathers. So he's going to bring them to the land of Israel. So that's where he's gathering them. Okay, so let's look at this. Jeremiah chapter 29. I'm going to read from verse 8. I'm going to read from verse 8 down to verse 19. Okay, watch this from verse 8 down to verse 19. Well, no, not old Israel. It's going to be the new Israel. This is going in, it's a good question. This is going in accordance with Revelation chapter 21. So where the new Jerusalem is going to be, that's where they're going to be. So he's talking about that land. It's going to be the same land, it's going to be same geographic area, but it's going to be completely changed when he renews this earth. So yeah, he's going to bring them back in their own land. Yeah, they're redeemed. That's right. He's bringing them back in their own land. Okay. Now that's a good question. So let's look at this. Jeremiah chapter 29 from verse 8 down to verse 19. Watch this. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, let not your prophets or your diviners that be in the midst of you deceive you, neither hearken to your dreams which cause ye to be dreamed, which ye cause to be dreamed. For they prophesy falsely unto you in my name. I have not sent them, saith Yahweh. For thus saith Yahweh, that after 70 years be accomplished at Babylon, I will visit you, and perform my good word toward you, in causing you to return to this place. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith Yahweh, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. Then shall ye call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And ye shall seek me and find me when ye shall search for me with all your heart. And I will be found of you, saith Yahweh. And I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations, there it is again, from all the places whither I have driven you, saith Yahweh. And I will bring you again into the place whence I caused you to be carried away captive. Because ye have said, Yahweh hath raised us up prophets in Babylon, know that thus saith Yahweh of the king that sitteth upon the throne of David, and of all the people that dwelt in this city, and of your brethren that are not gone forth with you into captivity. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, behold, I will send upon them the sword, the famine, and the pestilence, and I will make them like vile figs that cannot be eaten. They are so evil. And I will persecute them with the sword, and with the famine, and with the pestilence, and will deliver them to be removed to all the kingdoms of the earth, to be a curse and an astonishment and hissing and a reproach among all nations whither I have driven them, because they have not hearkened to my words, saith Yahweh, which I sent unto them by my servants the prophets, rising up early and sending them, but ye would not hear, saith Yahweh. So he's telling them, the people that haven't obeyed his voice, he's going to spank them. He said it in chapter 29. He said it in chapter 30. He said he's not going to leave his people altogether unpunished, but he's going to make a full end of all the other nations. Let's go to Ezekiel. Now we looked at Isaiah. We looked at Jeremiah. Let's look at Ezekiel. Because Ezekiel says the same thing. Ezekiel says it several places, of course, just like the rest. It says it in a lot of places. I'm going to, let's see, where should I start? There's so much here. Let's see. I'm going to start, let's look at chapter, there's a lot. I'm saying this literally. There's a lot in Ezekiel. He says a lot here. Let's see. I'm going to begin at chapter 36. I love chapter 36. And yeah, chapter 36. I'm going to read from verse 16 of chapter 36. From verse 16 to verse 28. There's more. There's a lot more. But I'm just going to read this for now because Ezekiel chapter 36 from verse 16 to verse, let's see, from verse 16 to verse 28 of chapter 36. Ezekiel 36, 16 to 20. Notice what it says. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their own doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. Wherefore I poured out my fury upon them, for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries. According to their way, according to their doings, I judged them. And when they entered into the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name. When they said to them, These are the people of Yahweh, and are gone forth out of his land. But I had pity for my holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen whither they went. Therefore, say unto the house of Israel, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for my holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen whither ye went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, saith the Lord Yahweh, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen, and gather you out of all countries, and will bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean from all your filthiness, and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes. And ye shall keep my judgments, and do them. And ye shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers. And ye shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. Isn't that powerful? See that? That's again, it's exactly what we read in Deuteronomy. It's what we read in Isaiah, and what we read in Jeremiah. It's powerful, man. This is this is a promise to his people. And he said, notice, this is so powerful because this is telling you, this is the gospel, brothers and sisters. People don't recognize the gospel. That's the problem. I've been talking to people on Facebook and on YouTube, and the problem is the gospel of the Messiah Yahushua has been so perverted that people don't recognize it. They don't even know it. And the gospel is the part of the gospel, of course, the blood of the Messiah, we talked about, cleansing us from sin, but we don't recognize the power of his righteousness that he's given us as a gift, that he says, I'm pouring my spirit on you and will cause you to keep my commandments and statutes and judgments. Notice, it's not us trying to do it. It's not us forcing ourselves to do it. It's him doing it in us by his spirit. It's us receiving the spirit that he gives us as a gift of grace. And by faith, walking in that spirit and being obedient to his commandments and statutes and judgments. Oh yeah, this is very powerful. Let's look again, one more, chapter 37, because it's in a lot of places, man. I mean, it's in a lot of places. The same promise that we read in Deuteronomy 30 is in a lot of places. So here, Ezekiel chapter 37. Ezekiel chapter 37. Okay, there's a lot in here. Again, there's a lot in here. So I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to start at verse 5, and I'm going to read down to verse 22. Actually, verse 23. Man, there's so much here. I'm going to read down to verse 23. Shoot, from verse 5 down to verse 23. There's a lot here. Okay, there's a lot here, and I hate to miss anything because it's all very important, very powerful. Notice what it says. Thus saith Adonai Yahweh unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath, that's his spirit, to enter into you, and ye shall live. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh. So I prophesied as I was commanded. And as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking. And the bones came together with bone, bone to his bone. And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophecy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Adonai Yahweh, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain that they may live. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army. Then he said unto me, son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dry, our hope is lost, we are cut off for our parts. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, thus saith the Adonai Yahweh, behold, O my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am Yahweh when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves. And ye shall put my spirit in you, and ye shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. Then shall ye know that I, Yahweh, have spoken it and performed it, saith Yahweh. The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it, for Judah and for the children of Israel his companions, and take another stick and write upon it, for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel and his companions, and join them one to another into one stick. They shall become one in thine hand. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? Say unto them, thus saith Adonai Yahweh, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes, and say unto them, thus saith the Adonai Yahweh, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, and whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all, neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all the dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their Elohim. Now, brothers and sisters, you know the powerful thing about this. Let me just explain one thing about this. The powerful thing about this is when he was telling this to Ezekiel, okay, there was no northern kingdom. The northern kingdom had already been scattered by the Assyrians a couple of 100 years before. It had already been scattered. They were already gone. So he was prophesying about Judah and Ephraim, the northern 10 tribes, and the northern 10 tribes had already been scattered. He said, I'm going to bring them back. I'm going to make them one with Judah. See, it's powerful. So he's going to make this happen. So we were back in Deuteronomy. So now we saw, he said, when all these things come upon thee, the blessing and the curse. Now, when we looked at Deuteronomy 28, just as a review, real quick, we looked at Deuteronomy 28, and we saw the descriptions of the curses that would come upon the people of Yah, his true people. When we studied those curses in Deuteronomy 28, it talked about yokes of iron being on their neck. It talking about them living in other countries that come from the west, and shall scoop them up, and countries swift as eagles, and where they're going to worship other gods and speak foreign languages not there. It talked about them going into Egyptian slavery again through slave ships. And we know that there's only one group of people on the entire planet Earth that fit that description. There's not two. There's one. They call them African Americans. They call them Aborigines. They call them niggas. They're in all the different islands. They're in South America and Brazil. They're in Central America. They're all in Australia, all over the earth. Only one group of people fit the description. That's it. And he is saying this people who also Deuteronomy said would be sick with all kinds of diseases, would be having their children in prison and in chains. He's going to recover them. He's going to recover them. It's powerful. And brothers and sisters, it is happening. The awakening has begun. Let's look at Deuteronomy 30 again. Notice Deuteronomy 30. Let's look at it very closely now. Deuteronomy 30, I'm going to read from verse 1. I'm going to read them from verse 1 down to verse 5. Okay? We're going to take our time with this because it's so sweet. And I'm going to say this. We're going to talk about it. Let me just read from verse 1 down to verse 5. Okay? And it shall come to pass. Dabharym, chapter 30. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither Yahweh thy Elohim have driven thee, and shalt return unto Yahweh thy Elohim, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that then Yahweh thy Elohim will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither Yahweh thy Elohim have scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out to the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will Yahweh thy Elohim gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And Yahweh thy Elohim will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. And he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. Look, brothers and sisters, let me just be clear here for those that might be seeing this on YouTube for the first time, those that might be hearing these words. Look, it's not just the black man that's going to see these promises. First, let me just say this. It's not the darkness of the skin that makes them Israelites. Okay, that's not it. It just identifies who they are. You understand what I'm saying? It's not because they are black that makes them Israelites. It just yes, the awakening is happening right now. It's not that. It's that it just identifies them who they are, because we can see that it is the black man that has been on the slave ship. It is him that is derided. Now, in the Bible, brothers and sisters, I want to make this clear. The Most High never differentiated his people by the color of their skin. No, that came up by the European man. The European man, because he was through Rome and Greece, Greece and Rome, he's been dominant for 2,000 plus years. And he came up with this color thing, you see, the skin color, because he felt like if he could just differentiate himself like that from all the people on earth, that we're supposed to know he's dominant, right? But the Most High never differentiated his people by the color of their skin. He just didn't do that. Nowhere in the Bible. See, that's a European thing. That's a modern era thing. You see, like, for example, that's why people read about the account of Moses' wife being Ethiopian. People say, oh, because she was black. That's modern ignorance. It wasn't because she was black that Miriam, because they were all black. It wasn't because they were all black. I mean, in the modern vernacular, they were light skin, brown skin, dark skin. They were all black. But the thing is that she was not a Semite. She was a Hamitic woman. That's why they were saying that about her, okay? But that whole color thing, that came up in the last, that came up from Constantine and them changing the picture, the traditional drawings of the Messiah from a black man to Caesar Borgia, a white man. All that white supremacy started with them probably like 1,000 years ago, okay? So that's where you get that. That's not historically the way the Most High identified his people. His people were identified through Jacob, bloodline of Jacob, and by keeping the covenant. And the circumcision in their flesh was a sign that they kept the covenant. That's all that was. It was a sign in their flesh that they kept the covenant, starting with Abraham. Okay? So what does that mean today? Well, he is going to call back the bloodline of Abraham again. And yes, we can identify them as black people mostly, but that does not exclude white people, Chinese people. It doesn't exclude people from anywhere. Anyone who is going to keep the covenant, anyone who's going to keep the covenant of the Most High is going to be in the people of Israel. That's why he said that that the fall of the Israelites in Romans 11, he said their fall happened so that until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. Okay, so when the fullness of the Gentiles be come in, what does that mean? Let me tell you what. Let's first say what it doesn't mean. Okay, it doesn't mean all these Sunday keeping churchianity people calling themselves Christians. That's not what it means. Okay, and how I know that? Because that's paganism. All that came from Constantine in Rome. In the New Testament, in the first century church, they kept the Sabbath. They were all keeping all the things of the Hebrews. Okay, that's why the Hebrews were expecting them to get circumcised, because they were keeping everything else. Okay, they were keeping everything else. But through the Spirit, the apostle was shown that Abraham received faith and righteousness prior to being circumcised. So the faith and righteousness he received prior to being circumcised was the sign, just so the Gentiles receiving Messiah, which is receiving the blood of the covenant and the perfect righteousness, are circumcised in heart. That was more important than the flesh. Okay, that's what that was the big deal in the New Testament. Most people think it was the all, 10 commandments and all that. It was just talking about circumcision. So that's the point, was as they received the Messiah, they were receiving all the covenants, the promises, all of the adoption of the nation of Israel. They were going to become Israelites through faith. Okay, through faith. And he says that through faith. Okay, so anyone that receives this truth, and so when I say receive this truth, you are acknowledging who the true Hebrews are. You're acknowledging who the Messiah really is. You're acknowledging that there's none of this churchianity and stuff in the Bible. You're acknowledging the truth of the word. You know what? You're going to be among his people. Now, let me tell you something. Anytime people receive truth, okay, it's not easy. Let me tell you why I say it's not easy in terms of this. You're going to be, first of all, when you receive the truth of the word, you automatically enlist all the agencies of evil against you. I just want you to make sure you understand that. Okay? When you receive the truth, you automatically, because it's truth, you understand? If it was a lie, you'd be on Satan's side because he's a liar. But when you start receiving the clear truth of the word, you automatically enlist all the demonic agencies against you. That's okay, though, because you have all the agencies of heaven on your side. Okay? So it's not going to be like the Most High going to say, well, you just receive this truth and you just acknowledge this truth and you skip into heaven. No, brothers and sisters, when you receive the truth that we're talking about tonight, the present truth, not just the Hebrew Israelites, who they really are and where they come from, but the whole thing, justification by faith, the obedience to the covenant. When you receive all that, your friends, your associates, your family, they don't want to be around you. This is, brothers and sisters, it's a dividing message. It does not gather together all the people. It just gathers together the people in the truth. You hear what I'm saying? It just gathers together. He gathers together the people in the truth. The rest of the folks, whether they related to you or not, they don't want nothing to do with that. So brothers and sisters, when people receive this truth, no matter what color they are, they're going to be dealing with some opposition. So we shouldn't be like, oh, he's Chinese, he can't be one of us. That's what got us. That's one of the things that got us in this mess. That's one of the things got us in this mess. Oh, no, he can't be one of us. That person's English. That person's Irish. Look, man, if they receiving this truth, they riding with us. You understand? If they receiving this truth, they riding with us. You understand? So, well, look, let me tell you something. You know what? Let's get some Bible for that, because we can't just leave that on my word. We got to put it on the Most High's word. We got to put it on the Most High. We can't just leave that on my word, because you know what? My word is nothing. It's the Bible that means everything. And so let's just look at the Bible, okay? Let's look at the Bible. We've seen this chapter before, but this is for the people on YouTube that's going to hear this message. I don't want nobody to think it's exclusively. See, let me tell you something. Messiah came and died for the nation of Israel. And anyone that's going to be connected to him is going to come in through the nation of Israel. There's no question about that. But no matter who they are, they're going to be in if they come in through the Messiah. Okay? So look, Isaiah chapter 56. Isaiah 56. I love this chapter. Isaiah 56. I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse 8. Notice what it says, Isaiah 56, from verse 1 to verse 8. Because look at this. The majority of your white people on the planet are going to reject this message lock, stock, and barrel. I'm just being real with you. They're just going to reject this message lock, stock, and barrel. There's not going to be a majority of white people coming to this message. I'm telling you right now. So any few that do, we should praise the Most High. We should praise the Most High. Notice what it says from Isaiah 56 from 1 to 8. Watch this carefully. Thus saith Yahweh, keep ye judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come and my righteousness to be revealed. Blessed is the man that doeth this, and the son of man that layeth hold on it. Watch this, that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and keepeth his hand from doing any evil. Neither let the son of the stranger that has joined himself to Yahweh speak, saying, Yahweh hath utterly separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I'm a dry tree. For thus saith Yahweh unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbaths, and true the things that please me, and take hold of my covenant, even unto them will I give in mine house and within my walls a place and a name better than of sons and of daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Also, the sons of the stranger that join themselves to Yahweh, to serve him, to love the name of Yahweh, to be his servants. Everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and taketh hold of my covenant, even them will I bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon my altar. For my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. The Adonai Yahweh, which gathered the outcasts of Israel, says, yet I will gather others to him beside those that are gathered unto him. See that? See that? So he's saying, I'm gathering the outcasts of Israel, but I'm gathering others as well. You see what I'm saying? Y'all see that? That's about as plain. See, that's why Isaiah is hated. Anyone that really don't love the truth hates Isaiah. They hate Isaiah. Because when you break Isaiah down, it shows you stuff so plain, like it shows the Messiah suffering so plain. And here, it shows us, he says, aside from, I'm gathering Israelites, but aside from the Israelites, I'm gathering others with him. That's what he said. He said it, I'm gathering others unto him. See? So brothers and sisters, we should rejoice. The Bible says, the Messiah taught us, all heaven rejoices over one sinner that repenteth. We should likewise rejoice over one person that receives this truth. Because it's not going to be a lot. Okay? It's not going to be a lot. It's just not going to be a lot. He talks about a remnant. We know that the remnant of Noah was only 8 persons. Noah and his 7. Okay, that's it. That was the remnant. There's a small remnant coming today. Praise the Most High. He's sending forth more than just Noah. He's sending forth more than just Elijah or Elijah. He's sending forth more than John the Baptist. He's sending forth 144,000 this time. Okay? To bring this message. And they're going to have the people come in. They're going to come in. And when I say come in, into Messiah, into the truth, not into somebody's denomination. That's when you hear people in Christianity talking about we're going to bring them in, you and I both know they're talking about bringing them into their church, right? You and I both know when they say, oh, we got to bring people in. They're not talking about bringing them into Messiah. They're talking about bringing them into churchianity. That's what they're talking about. But here, he's talking about bringing people into the Messiah. And when you're in the Messiah, you are in the Father's love. And when you're in the Father's love, you have eternal life, brothers and sisters. Praise the Most High. So, praise the Most High. So he is going to gather the outcasts of Israel and Judah. He's going to gather others to them, aside from them, right? And he's going to bring them back into the land. Brothers and sisters, this truth is so sweet, man. It is so sweet because it explains everything. It explains all of the attack. It explains all of the suffering of the black man. It explains everything. It explains the whole deal. Why they were on the slave ships. Why they were thrown overboard and millions of them thrown to sharks. why they were suffering for centuries the way they've been suffering. It explains it. It explains it very well. It's sweet truth, man. It's sweet truth. It's not about somebody being Honduras and somebody being Puerto Rican and somebody being Dominican and somebody being Cuban. No, it's about the outcasts of Israel, regardless of where you are. The outcasts of Israel, brothers and sisters. Let us remember that. He's gathering together the outcasts of Israel, and their awakening has already begun. In fact, let me break down the awakening a little bit for you, okay? Just a little bit. I'm going to start the awakening. Listen, let me make sure y'all can hear this. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Are you hearing me? Okay, look. I'm going to start the awakening with Nat Turner. Right. I'm going to start the awakening with Nat Turner. Y'all know who Nat Turner was? He was in Virginia. He was a slave, and he was an intelligent man. For a slave, he was a learned man. He knew what he was doing, and he knew he shouldn't have been slaved here. And he broke up, and they started raping, and not raping, but they started killing and pillaging. And that was the beginning. Then you come down the decades, and you get the Emancipation Proclamation, and you get a man named Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass comes out, and he is giving his whole life to try to free his people. And when they're free, he's giving his whole life to bring them higher. And then others came, but then there came a man named Marcus Garvey. He was from Jamaica. He came up here into the United States, and he started talking about, we really are not slaves. We really come from a background that is deeper than that. We really supposed to be something higher than that. We could be starting our own businesses. And they put Marcus Garvey down. Then a man named Elijah Muhammad came, and he came with a sect of Islam. And he was telling us, Elijah Muhammad was teaching, we are the children of Israel. The only problem with Elijah Muhammad, he was a Muslim, right? What's the problem with that? Muslim don't know Messiah. Muslim don't know Messiah, okay? But he was getting closer, and he taught a man named Malcolm X. Malcolm X came out, and he broke it down even further. Problem with Malcolm X was he began our history in Africa. He didn't begin our history with Yah in the nation of Israel. He began our history in West Africa as Muslims after we were converted to Islam, after our scattering from Israel. See, he started after we were converted to Islam. That's why Malcolm X thought Islam was the religion. He didn't realize Islam was just as much guilty of putting us in slavery as Christianity. He didn't realize that, but he came with what he knew, right? Then there came other men after that, men that we don't know about. Not national men, because you see, brothers and sisters, the final movements is not going to be by Malcolm X's or Elijah Muhammad's or Marcus Garvey's with the television, everything on them. It's going to be on the street level. The last movements, the most powerful movements, is going to be on the street level. You understand? It's going to be on the street level. And so now you have people coming to this truth that we were the Hebrews, but they weren't accepting this. They came back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, but they weren't accepting Messiah. And that came all the way up into the 90s. Then people started accepting Messiah. And now you got more people accepting Messiah. You still got a whole bunch not accepting Messiah, not accepting the New Testament, but you got people awakening now. And it's rolling forward, brothers and sisters. It's rolling forward. It's rolling forward. It's going to continue, okay? This is the awakening. This is where we at. And the history I just showed you, majority of people on planet Earth are paying no attention to it. They have no idea of everything I just told you. But that's the awakening. Because they have no idea of who the Hebrews really are. That's why they have no idea. Hebrews all around them. They gather them in ghettos. They got them in drug-infested places. They're poor. They're in jail. And nobody knows that these are the Hebrews. They don't understand. These are the ones. They don't know. These are the ones right here. Okay? And so the awakening has begun. Okay? The awakening has started. And brothers and sisters, like I said, it's just going to roll forward because it's not accidental. The Spirit of the Father did it. Everything I just told you happened in the last 200 years. Everything I just told you happened in the last 200 years. Okay? Everything happened in the last 200 years. And so, brothers and sisters, it's recent in terms of world history. That's recent. You understand? That's not a lot of time. 200 years. That's not a lot of time in terms of world history. Okay, so it's moving forward. And now we're in the 21st century. It's going to even increase more rapidly now. Okay, you're going to see people get awakened more rapidly now. People are investigating. They're already investigating their Bible. They're looking at this thing in a different light. It's already happening. And while it's happening, check this out. While it's happening, the rest of the world is completely asleep. You hear what I said? While this awakening is happening and it's aggressively going forward, the rest of the world is completely asleep. They have no idea. Okay? Forget Christianity. They just have no idea. Okay? The people that are awakening out of Christianity are the people that the Spirit is tugging on their heart because they're not satisfied with the spiritual food they're getting. You see what I'm saying? It's not good meat. You understand? They don't even have good milk. It's spoiled milk. It's empty calories. It's sugar. It's sugar. It's high fructose corn syrup. Okay? It's not even good sugar. You understand what I'm saying? They're completely sleeping. And their minds being numbed by that high fructose corn syrup. But people that are sick of it, and sick of being sick, and sick of getting watered down gospel, they're seeking more, and the Most High is giving it to them, and they're waking up, and they're coming out of those churches. They're coming out of there, and they're seeking for more. Okay? But the majority of the earth has no idea what's going on. That's why this is going to take them as a great surprise. That's why the Bible says it's going to take the world as a great surprise. It's not going to take the Israelites. The return of the Messiah is not going to take the Israelites by surprise. It's not. Let me explain this one other thing. This was on my mind too. You know where the Messiah said, no man knows the day or the hour, but my Father only. He said, not me, not the angels. Only my Father knows the day and the hour. Most people take that and they just stick right there with that. And they don't read what he's really saying. Listen here. Listen here. Let me ask a question. Let me just ask a logical question. When the Messiah returns to the earth to gather his people, will not the Father have told him it's time? Isn't that true? When the Messiah returns to earth to gather his people, will not the Father have told him it is time? Okay, so at the time he said, no man knows the day or the hour. That was true at the time. But at some point in the future from that point, he will know the day and the time. Is that right? Am I saying that correctly? Right? So at some point he would have to know because he's coming back himself. He's returning. The Father is telling him. So he would have to know the day and the time at some point. And then if the Messiah knows, and he's our high priest, and he's communicating with us by the Spirit, you telling me he's not going to let us know once he knows? Of course he's going to let us know once he knows. He said, I have showed you, he said to his disciples, all things I have gotten of my Father, I have showed unto you. That's not going to change. Okay? All things I have gotten from my Father, I've shown unto you. So the day is going to come where he's going to impress on the Spirit and his people are going to know when he's about to come. It's not going to be like years in advance. Like, it's not going to be able to name like January 2nd, 20, whatever. But we're going to know it's coming by the Spirit. And we're going to be in different places all over the earth, and we're going to all know. Okay? We're going to all know because it's one Spirit. It's one Spirit. Okay. Now, what I'm saying to you right now, Christianity is not going to receive that. That's their problem, though. I know the true people are going to receive that because it's the truth. Okay. Okay. So when he returns, he will have been given that from his Father, and he will have given that to his people. And when he does that, we're going to know. See? And I'm telling you, that's already awakening because we already know what time of year he's going to return. We know what time of year. See, how you know what time of year? We know what time of year he's going to return. How do I know? Because every feast meets its fulfillment in Messiah at some point. What am I talking about? The Passover lamb. There's some ignorant Hebrew fools out here still thinking they got to kill some animal. It's ridiculously sad. But they'll come to the truth eventually. But the Messiah is the lamb. He was slain at the very hour of the Passover because the Passover pointed to him. It was the exact day, the exact time of year, and the exact time that he was supposed to be slain. That's why when he was slain, the Bible says the veil of the temple was rent in twain. No more need for animals to be slain at Jerusalem because Messiah was slain at Jerusalem. Then he led captivity captive, Psalm 68, and he brought good gifts to men, and he gave them the first fruits of the Spirit. That is the day of Pentecost. What am I talking about? The Bible says when he was resurrected, people came up with him. Let's look at that. I know people ain't going to believe that unless they're reading their Bibles, and unfortunately, most people are not reading their Bibles. So let's look at this. Matthew chapter 27. Matthew chapter 27. Matthew 27. I'm going to read from verse Matthew 27. I'm going to read from verse 50 down to verse 53. Matthew 27 from verse 50 down to verse 53. Notice what it said. Yahushua, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom. And the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose and came out of the graves after his resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. There you go. So when he was resurrected, he brought some people with him. Them is the first fruits. The day of Pentecost is called the Feast of Weeks or the Feast of the First Fruits. It's the first group of crops they get. That's a representation of the Holy Ghost, the earnest or the down payment, the early rain of the Holy Ghost that came on the people on its feast. Then came the Day of Atonement, which was the 7th month, the 10th day of the month. Okay? And now he's the high priest. So that's already taken place. And we study, and when we're going to look at Revelation, we're going to find that it took place in October of 1844. People are going to say, you're crazy. Yeah, well, we're going to study that. October of 1844, Messiah went from the holy place into the most holy for the Day of Atonement. He should have come back already, but he didn't come back yet. And the Bible prophesied about the delay because the 144,000 Hebrews would not be sealed yet. 5 days later, 5 years of prophetic time, is the Feast of Tabernacles, otherwise known as the Feast of Harvest, ingathering, where he's going to come back and redeem his people, the harvest. Revelation 14 brings that out. That's when he's going to return, in the fall. It should already happen, but the 144,000 were not prepared. Now they're getting prepared. And when they're sealed, all bets are off. And we know what time of year. Now, I don't know what day. We also know the hour, though, because he has taught us in his word that he loves midnight. He loves midnight. He delivered them out of Egypt at midnight. Yep. Judas went out and betrayed him at midnight. Yep. Job said the people are going to be astonished at midnight. Oh, yes. Midnight. He loves midnight. So we kind of know what time. We know what time of year. We know when the feast is. That's when it's going to be. We don't know what year yet. But he's going to reveal that when it's time. He's already started. The things I'm telling you, I'm only getting and I'm only receiving because the Spirit is revealing them because it's time, brothers and sisters. It's time. Okay? It's not this fall, but I don't know what fall it is. But it's going to come in the fall. It's going to come in the fall. It's going to come during the Feast of Ingathering. That's right. That's exactly when it's going to come, brothers and sisters. So, back to Deuteronomy chapter 30. So we know when he's going to show us, and he's going to show us the day and the hour. He's going to show us the whole thing when it's time. Not time yet. Right now, he has us getting ready. He has us preparing. He has us receiving of his Spirit and his righteousness, that we might be obedient to his commandments, statutes, and judgments. We might put away all idols. He's doing that for us right now, making that happen. Deuteronomy chapter 30. Deuteronomy 30. Let's look at Deuteronomy 30. And I'm going to start again from verse 4. Actually, I'm going to start at verse 3, And I'm going to read down, excuse me, from verse 3 down to verse 8. Okay, from verse 3 down to verse 8. Notice what it says. That then Yahweh thy Elohim will turn thy captivity and have compassion on thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither Yahweh thy Elohim have scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out to the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will Yahweh thy Elohim gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And Yahweh thy Elohim will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. And he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. And Yahweh thy Elohim will circumcise thy heart, and the heart of thy seed, to love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And Yahweh thy Elohim will put, well, watch this now. Yahweh thy Elohim will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahweh, and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. This goes everything what we've been reading all along. So he says the curses that are upon the Israelites will go on their enemies that persecuted them. Now let's just stop here for a minute, because we need to break this down just for a second. The persecution that happened to the Israelites happened because of their disobedience to the Most High, their breaking of the covenant, worshiping other gods, and finally rejecting Messiah. Okay, the persecution that came upon them as a result of that. But let me explain this to you, brothers and sisters. The devil loves to destroy the Most High's people. So when the Most High's people fall away from him at the temptations of the devil, he is given permission to turn around and use his armies to destroy them. Now, that means, so it's just like when the Israelites sinned against the Most High and worshiped other gods and killed his prophets, and he sent Nebuchadnezzar there, and he destroyed their city, their temple. Solomon's temple was destroyed, and he took them captives, and others were scattered. Later on, we read he did the destruction to Babylon, so that the Babylon was going to be destroyed and never rise again. So, you know, people looking at Iraq. Iraq was where Babylon was. Okay? But Iraq is not Babylon anymore. This is a third-rate power at best. Babylon was the goal, head of gold. It was powerful, you know, a powerful nation at the time. But they'll never rise to that again. Okay? Because he dismantled them. So now the people of this day, 2016, that have persecuted his Israelite people, when his Israelite people start to repent and turn back to his commandments, turn to the Messiah, receive perfect righteousness, the people that persecuted the Israelites are going to receive all the curses that the Israelites themselves received. See, so brothers and sisters, people say, well, man, if I know that, I better return and repent now. But just let me go back to what we talked about earlier. The message of who the true Hebrews are and their return to the Most High and their rise to prominence is going to be and is being rejected by the vast, vast majority of the inhabitants of planet Earth, particularly the people that are in great power now, the sons of Yafet. They're going to reject this message. And that's why they're setting themselves up to receive the plagues and the persecution that's going to come as a result of rejecting this message and as a result of having their hands on the Israelites. Okay? Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? So that's why he says, I'm going to return and I'm going to put these curses on them that hated you, them that persecuted you. Those people that did these things to you, though they did it to you because of your own disobedience, when you turn back, I'm going to come back and I'm going to put this on them. He said it in Jeremiah, Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Deuteronomy. He says it in other places too. So brothers and sisters, this is just part of the deal right here. It's part of the deal. Okay, it's part of the deal. So, hey, that's what I'm saying. We don't have to. I see a lot of Hebrews wasting a lot of time yelling at white people and telling them how lost they are. Blah 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 blah. They're not actually trying to win them to the truth. They're trying to actually just get their jollies off by breaking on them. We should be trying to win people to the truth. It's not going to be a lot of people that come to the truth. We should be trying to win people to the truth. You understand? We shouldn't be wasting our time, telling them how they're going to be destroyed, because we gotta really teach the truth about the gathering first, about the people, the history Hebrews, about who they are, about who we need the Messiah. We need to bring people to the Messiah. Okay, the Most High is going to take care of the persecutor. The oppressor is going to get what he got coming. There's no question, brothers and sisters. Nobody, listen carefully. Nobody gets over. No, nobody gets over. People just think they get over. But they don't get over. What comes around goes around. You understand? Well, what comes around goes around, brothers and sisters. Whatever they put out is going to come back on them. Okay, this is just the law of nature. It's going to happen. Okay, so we should be really trying to win people to the truth, to save them, really to save them, because the destruction is coming. It's coming, brothers and sisters. It's coming fast and furious. Yeah, that's not going to win people to the truth. That's actually, that's counterproductive. That's not the way the Messiah would win people. That's not the way the Messiah would win people to the truth. He wouldn't do it that way. He's trying to win people. Understand? While he tells them straight their sinful condition is going to have them lost, he's trying to win them to himself. Okay? But like I said, this is just part of the awakening. It's going to continue. It's going to continue, and people are going to get clearer and clearer revelations of the truth. And you're going to have, I believe it's going to straighten itself out, or should I say, the Spirit of the Father is going to straighten it out. It's really, all we got to do is focus on the Word, the Messiah, the truth. Focus on these things, brothers and sisters, and He will take care of everything else. Okay, He's going to take care of everything else. We just got to focus on our part, because we have to be obedient to His commandments, statutes, and judgments. We can only do that through His Spirit. We have to make sure we're receiving His Spirit and receiving His word. Okay, I'm going to finish. I'm going to read down the verse 10, and I'm going to stop right there. Okay, so let's go Deuteronomy chapter 30. I'm going to read from verse 7 down to verse 10. Notice what the scripture says. And Yahweh thy Elohim will put all these curses upon thy enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahweh, and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. And Yahweh thy Elohim will make thee plenteous in every work of thy hand, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land for good. For Yahweh will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thy fathers. If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes which are written in this book of the law, and if thou turn unto Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart and with all thy soul. Praise the Most High. I mean, brothers and sisters, you can't get more plain than that. I love the plainness of speech in the book of Deuteronomy. It's just straight up plain. It's just straight up plain.